This is the Horse Radio Network.
This is episode 628 of Horse Tip Daily. A different horse tip, a different equine topic, a different equestrian expert every day. Horse Tip Daily brings the world of equine knowledge to you, one day at a time. Today's tip is brought to you by Kentucky Performance Products, makers of Nalox Advanced and other fine nutritional supplements for your equine athlete. Greetings, horse people. Coach Jen here, and thanks for tuning in to Horse Tip Daily. Today's tip is from Shawna Karrasch. Shawna may be known by many of us as the clicker training lady, but she's really the take it out of the textbook and put it in the barn lady. Shawna uses scientifically proven training and teaching methods, removes the science-weenie language, and gives horse folks like us amazing tools with which to improve our horse's behavior and performance. Her reward reinforcement training system dramatically accelerates the training process for any breed or discipline by unlocking the horse's natural desire to perform. What results is an incredible bond between human and horse, a partnership based on success. Today's tip is an excerpt from the Horses in the Morning Show, episode number 377, and it's all about markers. The gang from the Horses in the Morning Show talked to Shawna about audio signals, tactile signals, and what's best to use and when. But first, let's hear from today's sponsor, Kentucky Performance Products.
Well, if you're a regular listener to the show, you know we talk a lot about Kentucky Performance Products, and that's because they are a name you can trust to give you the most value for your supplement money. Kentucky Performance Products offers supplements designed to target specific problems and are made with high-quality ingredients included at effective levels. The company's supplements are intended to complement, not compete, with your dressage horse's current feeding program, guarding against oversupplementation, and each product is backed by sound research and a money-back satisfaction guarantee. And today we'd like to talk to you about Nalox, the original equine antacid. It's recommended by veterinarians and leading horsemen as a way of maintaining a healthy stomach, which reduces the risk of ulcers. Nalox can be given daily to horses exposed to stressful conditions or as needed when shipping, competing, or during stall confinement. You know, you can learn about Nalox and all the products at Kentucky Performance Products at kppusa.com. That's Kentucky Performance Products at kppusa.com.
Now, enjoy today's tip.
Shawna, thanks for stopping by with us this morning. Today's topic is going to be verbal or audio markers versus tactile or what we would consider aids for markers when you're doing your training. We had touched on that very briefly last month when you were on. I thought, we need to talk about that. So bring me up to speed on the pluses and minuses of the two, whether you should start with one, work with the other. Just fill me in here.
Okay. Well, as we think of the aids are a little bit different in that they are traditional training, which is based on the removal reinforcement. So, you know, with our aids, we use our leg or stick, those tactile sort of things that say pressure is here until you respond correctly. So they kind of have a very different nature. When we move into the positive reinforcement and we use what is, in scientific terms, actually, a lot of times it's a secondary reinforcer, not to get too technical. It's also called a bridge signal because it bridges the time lapse between the moment they do something right and the moment in which we can reinforce them. So we condition it and teach it, but it is something like when you're in the middle of jumping, let's say. You can't feed the second they leave the ground, but you can use a bridge signal like a clicker or a whistle like we used at SeaWorld or a verbal signal or a tactile signal, just train it different. And you can say, I like what you did just then, and in a few minutes you will get some sort of reinforcement. So it is, so they kind of have a different purpose there. Now, a lot of times, like at SeaWorld, we used a whistle with the dolphins and whales, and one is because you could hear it long, far away, and you could hear it underwater, and it was not so disruptive during shows and things. And then also we used a verbal bridge signal with the sea lions and the walruses and the otters, and that was, we just used the word okay, and we used it kind of in a sharp tone. I was like, okay, so it's kind of bright. And then, but a lot of times now with the horses, we start off with this on-target training, or the positive reinforcement training, which is really the basis of what it is, also called clicker training. And I've kind of bristled at the term clicker training because people think the clicker is some magic thing, or that it has to be a clicker, or that it won't work unless you have a clicker, and that's just not true. It just happens to be the signal people have used to start it off. And there's a reason why it is really good. Like, I like to go to a verbal bridge signal because it's just convenient when you're doing things and you're in the middle of clipping and your hands are all busy, or, she's cleaning and your hands are all busy, whatever it is. You need it's good to have a verbal bridge signal because they understand that. But I start with the clicker anyway because the clicker is very sharp and distinct. It means one thing, and so that its value doesn't get diminished. They hear our voices all the time. We talk to our trainers. We talk to each other. I just talk. So it just doesn't stop, so that it kind of gets a little softer in its value. But the clicker means one thing, and I guess they've done tests, and the pitch of the clicker or something it triggers something in them. But I found just basically for me, I like that it is very distinct, and it always means one thing. So they know that it says, yes, what you just did is correct. So it marks that moment in time. So I use the clicker to start, and then I will use a verbal bridge signal, but you can use a tactile bridge signal. You could use a whistle as a bridge signal, and you can start off with a verbal bridge signal, or conditioned reinforcer is what it also is. But I like the clicker. Like I said, I start with that. I'll move to the verbal, but I will still use the clicker too. So I go back and forth between the clicker and the verbal. And if I'm teaching something new where we might be confused or trying new things and it gets a little muddled, just training starts small and you're building, I will go back to the clicker because it is sharper and clearer. It means it draws better attention to things. I think it's more precise tool. So I will go back to that for training.
So how... Give me some suggestions on how I would transition my horse. I've been working with him. He understands what the audio signal means. In this case, we're going to use an example of a clicker sound. He knows exactly what that is. He's got it. But what I want to do, I want to transition my horse into a tactile cue. For example, I tug on his mane because for whatever reason, I don't want to have that clicker sound happening. For example, you're in warm-up rings and other horses find it distracting, or you ride dressage and you're not allowed to have clickers and making sounds, and you can't use a verbal cue either because you're in a dressage test. What are the beginning steps of transitioning between that audio clicker sound to a tactile sound, or to a tactile cue?
Little thing.
That little thing, yeah.
The very first thing I do, and even if I'm going to clicker to a verbal bridge, or like you said, or tactile, or a whistle, or a motion, you could use an activity, whatever it is, I would start right before I click. I would use my new bridge signal. So when you're first teaching the clicker or any bridge signal, it's called classic conditioning, and it's like the Pavlovian. It's you click, you feed, you click, you feed, you click, you feed. And pretty soon, a neutral signal, whatever it is, takes on the value of food. It's like that Pavlov's dogs. Pretty soon, when they heard the ringing of the bell, because he rang the bell and fed, rang the bell and fed, rang the bell and fed, pretty soon those dogs, when they heard the bell, without any food being anywhere around, it triggered that physical response of drooling, because they knew food was about to come. So you've conditioned it so psychologically in their mind, bell meant food. So we do the same thing with the clicker. Clicker means positive reinforcement, means food. And so we start off by giving it value. So we take something neutral, and we just click, feed, click, feed, click, feed. And I always tell people the very first thing I do during this process is teaching them to turn their head away. So this establishes respect of our space from the very beginning. They learn if I'm pushy, mouthy, muggy, I don't get anything. It doesn't work.
And that cannot be overemphasized, people.
Exactly. It is. And that's why I do it. It is. And some people say, oh, yeah, I do it afterwards. No, I start the very beginning thing that they learn, because the very first thing they learn is usually the strongest behavior always. So the very first thing I teach them is when I have food, instead of pushing mouthy, just turn your head slightly away. So that becomes what they do when we're leading. That becomes their default behavior, is just stand here with my head over here or my head straight. So anyway, that was a little sidebar because it's really important. And like you said, can't be stressed enough. So in the very beginning, it's click, feed with the head turning away or staying away. And then, so that's how it gets value. And all of a sudden it does have value. And so then what we do is, now this is a tool. It's a great communication tool that, like I said, it can draw attention to, in the middle of a flying lead change. You can say, that is exactly what I want, or whatever it is, or from far away. So it's a great tool for communicating what you like. And you think about it, the traditional aids, what we have a tendency to do with traditional riding, we use the aids as pressure. When they do something correct, we tend to do nothing. You know what I mean? We remove the aids. So it's kind of a real shift in thinking. And that's one of the things in my DVD that Beezy Madden points out. She loves that this is finally a way to really tell them yes. But anyway, so what you do is you pair that sound right before the click. So you're conditioning it just like you did the other thing. So you would do, if you want to do like 3 reps on his withers means, click, or like you said, tug his mane. So you tug the mane, click, feed. Tug the mane, click, feed. Tug the mane, click, feed.
So the new signal, the one that you're trying to train into, comes first, and then, now, for the example in this we're doing here, you tug the mane. So I tug his little mane. He has no response because, okay, I'm tugging his mane. And then I immediately click, and he does respond to that. So the next step being, because, I'm not all that observant. My glasses are permanently dirty inside my head. Pull mane, click. So I am going to eventually, after a certain number of repetitions, which is going to be individual to the horse and the trainer, he will start to make I will be able to detect a response when he feels the mane tug, and then I immediately have to reward that response before I get a chance to do the clicker. Is that what's going to happen next? Yay,
exactly.
Me, I guessed it.
Yay, you with your dirty glasses in your head. It is.
I guessed it.
You did. Well, you're smarter than that. I know that you kind of know, because you're not, but it's basically as they start to anticipate a little bit, so even the clicker becomes something that says, oh, something else is about to happen, something that I like. So it creates that, it precedes it, so it creates that anticipation of what's next. So then the tug of the mane or the wrap on the withers or whatever you want it to be it anticipates the click, which anticipates the good thing. So it starts to take that value. It just kind of gives them a notice that this is about to come. And they put it together pretty quick. So it's you just start with that, and they'll start getting it. You could even go in and do the same thing we did with the clicker, where you tug, feed, tug, feed, tug, feed. Mm-hmm. But I think pairing the clicker and the new signal, whatever, the new tactile signal, is better with the clicker. It makes it clear that these are the same things as opposed to a different thing. So it kind of keeps it where they're interchangeable. It makes it really clear for them, I think. And I go back and forth. I use different ones for different things, So it's not that you don't have to just go, okay, this is all I got now. So it makes it nice to be able to change it up a little bit. And it's easy.
Cool. Well, that's great, because I need to work on that, because I want to be able to give him the cue even if I forget to put my little training device on my wrist. because he's very food motivated, and I can make that clicky sound 165 times, and he'll keep trying for that clicky. He keeps trying, so he's working really great with me. So,
and it is nice. Go ahead. And what's nice about, too, is like doing things that there's a lot of times I'm doing things and I don't have my clicker, but everything to me that they do is worth reinforcing. So if, let's say I'm doing something and all of a sudden I find a spot on them, a little scab or something, and I start investigating and maybe it's sore, I can, with my voice, just tell them this is good for standing still while I'm fussing with whatever it is. Or something startles them, but they have a good reaction and keep it together. I can draw attention to these things all the time, so you don't have to have another thing on you. So it's real handy.
Yeah. So before we wrap up for the day, you have some kind of exciting travel news coming up in your near future, don't you, Shawna?
Yes, I do. This Thursday.
What are you going to be up to?
This Thursday, which is fastly approaching, I'm going to the UK to do some clinics. So I'm flying into Ireland, so doing clinics and demonstrations, a whole series. I'm flying into Ireland, but I'm going between Ireland and England, and I'm going to do some clinics and demonstrations, and I'll be gone for 3 weeks. So I'm really excited to go over there. And what's kind of fun is really different. The gal who is organizing it, her name is Helen Spence, and she has a website, Helen Spence Horse Sense. But she lives in Ireland, and she has a PhD in learning theory, and so I met her online. She has my book from way long ago, and so we kind of with Facebook kind of got in touch, and now she has a little group on there that you talk with, and I feel like I know a lot of these people, and I've never met them, but I'm going over there, and I'll know what they've been doing with their horses. I know their horses' names, and that's really exciting. It's very different. It's funny how Facebook and the social media has changed, how things go. So it'll be really different. It'll be fun.
Oh, cool. So for our listeners out there who want to attend the clinic, watch the clinic, tune into what's going on in the clinic, where do they need to go to get more information about your big UK trip?
You can always contact me at shawnakarrasch.com or askshawna.com. But, really, Helen has a better idea where I'm going when. I just said, she's picking me up, and I'm like, wherever we're going. I mean, I have the list, but she's going to be better about the contact. I'm like, I'm just going. I'm all good, whatever. And so I have, she knows specifically we're going to, this, riding center in Cheshire, and we're going here, and she'll know what things are full and what things still have spaces. So go to
what's her website again?
It's Helen Spence Horse Sense. And so it's HELENSPENCE. Helen Spence Horse Sense. And I'm not sure that's actually. I know that if you put that in, you're going to find it. I'll have to check for just a second. Let me close my windows because I have my computer on naturally.
Of course.
As soon as I wake up, here comes the computer. That just seems to be what I do. But did you find it?
There it is, Helen Spence Horse Sense. I just didn't spell it right. I'm going to put that link up on the Facebook page, folks, because I know we have lots and lots of UK listeners, and they will want to get more information, stop by your clinics, visit Facebook, all that good stuff. And I'll put that link right up there. So
perfect.
Yeah. So I'm going to put that up.
And fun. Okay.
It is. That's very exciting for you. Thanks for stopping by once again here at the Horses in the Morning show. And you're here every month for all you positive reinforcement horse training enthusiasts out there. Shawna stops by every month here to give us handy-dandy little tips. And you can go to Shawna Karrasch on Facebook just by searching for Shawna Karrasch. Or you can go to askshawna.com, type in Shawna Karrasch in your favorite search engine, and she will
To listen to all of Shawna's tips, just go to horsetipdaily.com and go to the Experts drop-down menu on the left. You can also go to askshawna.com and see what she's up to. She's got her blog, she's got a calendar, she's got tips, she's got everything. Askshawna.com. We also, in our show notes on horsetipdaily.com, will have a link to find out more information about Shawna's trip to the UK, where she's going to be doing some clinics across the pond. And don't forget, support our sponsors here on Horse Tip Daily because they make these podcasts possible. Today's sponsor has been Kentucky Performance Products. They make simple solutions that are scientifically proven. Visit them today at kppusa.com. Please stop by the Horse Tip Daily Facebook page and let us know what you think of the tips you hear on the show. It's also a great place to tell us about topics you'd like to hear us cover on the show. You can subscribe to all the great shows on the Horse Radio Network through iTunes or Zune and get your horse podcasts automatically downloaded to your iPod, Zune, or MP3 player. You can also listen to the shows right on Facebook. The player's right there every day. I'll be back again tomorrow with another new expert and a different horse tip. Until then, go ride your horse. The Horse Radio Network and the Horse Radio Network hosts are not responsible for statements of guests or their opinions. Use your own judgment when listening to the tips provided by the experts on Horse Tip Daily.